Hey, it's Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it is Tuesday. It is August 2nd. This will be our chart lesson for the day, and it was mostly all downhill. We had a nice two-tiered channel. You could find it off these first two swings early today. You might have had to adjust it a little bit. You can see I originally had it just a little higher, but I kind of adjusted around just a hair uh, once we got a little more price action. But yeah, it's a nice two-tiered channel working lower, and even the shorter term trend lines worked out pretty well. This one was a little tricky here, um, but outside that, it was fairly straightforward. um, but let's back out a little bit, talk about the trades. There weren't a whole lot of them today, even though it was a nice downtrend. There weren't just a whole lot of them. But there were a couple of pretty good ones too, where you would have you may have caught a runner as well, especially this one here. This turned out to be a really nice trade. But anyway, when I first came in, we had this move down, and then we bounced here, and it looked like it may just be a range day until we broke lower here. And there's some clues here that this may go lower, but we'll talk about that when we get there. The first trade I saw was here. Notice that this was a new low, and you get a first entry and then a failed second entry short, and we had a double bottom. This was just a higher bottom. Quick easy scalp, and then of course it pulls back, but it makes another higher low, and it does look like there's a trend line working up through here. So this is the first break. So you figure we're going to make a new high, but hopefully we're headed back to what looks like a trend line up here. And it quickly moves up, and another quick easy scalp, but then it turns down right off that trend line. You really could have gone short right here. I probably should have had this one marked, but this is really your signal bar here, and it's not very bearish, and you do have some congestion stacked up across, but that's because it couldn't get through the trend line, and it's a little bit further away. Notice we had a break and a new high, but this is really what you would like to enter, and you'd like to get a little better entry. You just couldn't get one. If your chart looks a little different, I'm willing to make it green, but on my chart you wouldn't have got an entry, even trying to use a limit order or something. But notice how it comes down and it bounces again, tries to go lower, and you get a second entry, and that fails. So at that point, I really thought we were going to go lower. We did push through here, but we didn't go. It didn't continue on. So, but the only reason I like this one is because it is a failed second entry long, and prices just aren't bouncing here. Generally, you should have had a stronger bounce. And notice how it can't even close through the EMA. Comes back. It tests that level again, and you get another bar. It's bearish, but it's not as bearish as I would like. Again, you could probably argue for that one to be a breakout pullback short, but with it closing just above that support resistance line right there, which is just a support line at this point because it hadn't really held as resistance. So with it closing right there, I'm with not much room to get out. There's enough room to get out before here, but it may bounce right here, and it looked like it was going to. It did push on through, and it probably would have worked, but I would skip that one. But then you get the double test, and notice that this one made a little lower low than that one, and this again makes each one of these makes a little lower high. So that is the fact that it can't bounce out of there and get above that EMA is a telling sign that we're probably going to go lower. So I like this one for a short. It is a failed second entry long too, because this is higher than that one. So you pull back first entry, pull back second entry, it fails. And this turned out to be a pretty nice trade. You probably would have caught a runner on that one. It wasn't quite back to the EMA, but we'd just come off the high side, and we hadn't even got to the midline, much less the low side yet. So I thought really right here at this point we'd probably go all the way down, and we end up going all the way down, but we get a correction first. And this was a really nice trade. I don't think you want to enter. There's a second entry short right here off the EMA, and it would have worked, but you don't have much room to get out there. And after a big move down like that far away from the EMA, I would not enter that one. But it does bounce right here. You got what looks like a trend line going up, but really more than anything, it's kind of going sideways. And you can see that little support resistance break right through there. And notice how we kept testing that. We finally break through and we get that bearish bar. I treated this like a failed breakout. We don't have a close outside in a new high if this was going to be a trend line. But in the end, this trend line never really confirms. You got two swings there, and it does, but this one, it's hard to really call that a swing because it doesn't go anywhere up and it just comes back down again. So if you want to be aggressive, I like this one because we're probably headed to the other side since we've already come off the high side and haven't reached the low side yet. And that was another reason why it was almost okay here because if you saw this channel, which is what you should have been playing, you notice we haven't got down to the midline, which it wasn't that, it was possible to find that, but it was definitely possible to find the low because of the low right there. So of course it's not a lot of price action, so it's not easy to find. It's not easy to say, hey, that's confirmed. It's easy to see it now later in the day, but at this point it wasn't, and this looked more kind of rangy here. So but anyway, I like this one if you want to be aggressive. You got this, this is just a pull back to test this breakout area, and it tested it 1, 2, 3 times really. So, and it's a bearish bar, so off it goes, and there's another trend line here too. This one doesn't really matter so much because it gets you down to the other side. You get your close outside. I move to a new low by 1 tick, and then it reverses, and that's not surprising at all. You do get a close outside and a failed second entry short here. This is a double bottom. You get a first entry, pull back, second entry. It fails. Look how nice that reversal bar is. You figure prices are going to here, so you want to enter here most likely. It's still a little aggressive because this is a downtrend, and you got to be careful taking longs on this. So it's still a little aggressive, but there's some reasons to like that trade. Because you really expect prices to come back up to here. They end up getting there, but they go more sideways to get there. And if you look, where were your best trades today off this key? There's a big move off the key entry point. Here's a big move off the key entry point. Here's the bigger move off the key entry point. Where's the next one come? Right here off the key entry point. So that's where all your best trades were. So yeah, that one's a little aggressive. Look how it shoots through the EMA, pulls back, and gives you a big bearish bar right here. I like that, looking for prices to go lower. You get a nice move here, but they don't go that low. Then it pulls back. It's tempting to go short right here. That's off the trend line, but it's not a very good signal bar. It's more of a doji. There's a couple of them lined up. If you draw your trend line up, there's no break or close outside and new high. You get that here and it tries to come up, and then you get that big bearish bar. So I like going short here for sure. This one's a little risky, but it is off the key entry point, and there's a good chance you get a move like this that just keeps going. So, but you don't. You get a scalp out of it, and if you held on, you get more. But this was the better trade, the next one. And now you got a double test of that level right there, and off it goes. And it is at the key entry point. So, and it's a second entry short too. Look at that new low. First entry, pull back the second entry. So, so that was a really nice trade. We don't go all the way to the lower side. We find support here at the midline, and you get that reversal type pattern here. There's also a second entry here. But that's not much of a close outside that trend line. It looks like a close outside of it, but it's not a real convincing one. So you had to be a little bit leery of this reversal. So for that reason, this is green instead of blue, but it's borderline. I mean, it could almost be blue um, because it's a trap. It's a short trap. It's a reversal pattern. You've got you're looking for a reversal possibly because you do have a closeout side and a new low. Um, this shorter term trend line has the closeout side and new low. You got a double bottom, higher low. You've got your new low, first entry short, second entry short. You got a new high here, pull back first entry, pull back second entry. So there's a lot of reasons to like that. And when we turned up, you can tell they had a lot of people trapped and they had to exit. That's why you get this huge move here. And that's what a trap looks like. So there's reasons like that one. I didn't really see another trade I liked the rest of the day. You could count this as a second entry short too because this is a double bottom. So it's like you can count this as a new low since it's a double bottom. First entry, second entry. But we're away from the EMA a good bit. A lot of dojis in there, a lot of stack up. It's off the upper side of what looks like this channel right here. I ended up adjusting this a little higher later. But still even adjust up higher, adjusting it a little higher, it's still not a great entry. And then this one pulls back. And it's just a first entry. It's kind of sideways. It's a little risky. But it is off the key entry point. It does confirm it here. So again, you could probably make that one green. I'd skip it that late in the day. Just be honest with you. So that's all. That's what I saw today. Not a whole lot of trades. There's some fairly good ones in there. This was a downtrend. So once we went past here, you're better off to stick to nothing but shorts. I did explain this one long in here just because we were looking for it to come back to here, but it's risky. And of course, this one, this long, you've got everything in place for a reversal now, and you got a reversal pattern. So that's the reason I marked that one. But notice there's not any really blue longs past here because as of here, it looked like it might be a range day, and you really are trading this range right across here. And but once you get past that point, it's pretty obvious this is all downhill, and you're better off to stick to the trades that are all downhill. And if you just took the ones off the key entry point, which there weren't many, but if you just took those, you got a pretty good trading day. So um, yeah, not much else we can say about today. So I'm going to wrap it up. We'll be back again to do it tomorrow. Hope you had a good trading day. This is Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com. And we'll see you next time.